Hi crafters, this is Cindy B with Mrs. B's craftroom.blogspot.com, here today with another video in my video series. Today we are going to be making a back to school page layout with all of the kids. My son went back to school this week and my grandsons are going back to school this week, and I thought it would be fun to make a back to school page to put their pictures in. So I'm going to be using the cartridge Locker Talk for my cuts today. We'll be using several of the cuts from Locker Talk. We'll be using from page 32 the first day of school cut, and it has some layer features also. I'm going to be using on page 33 the school building cut and its layers, and also I'll be using the lunchbox on page 43 and its layers. So let's get started. Alright, so what I have done, I went ahead and I have designed the layout on my Gypsy on the first mat. So if you can see the top of that screen there, we've got, this is layer 1. So what I've done is using Georgian Basic Shapes just to grab some squares. I sized up some squares and put on the layout page to figure out where I wanted to put the photos. And then I took the first day of school cut and I've laid it here up in the corner, the lunchbox, and then the school building. Now one of the things I did on one of the Georgian Basic Shape squares is I added an apple border. And I actually got this apple border from Doodle Charms. And what I did is I selected the apple border, and it's 3 little apples. Using the turning tool, it came across horizontally, and using the turning tool under the Advanced tab, I turned the apples to be vertically, and then I sized them to layer up against the mat. And because there were only 3, I had to copy that and paste 3 more apples. But I really didn't need the 3rd apple of the second set because it would have been too long for my paper. So what I did is I went in, I highlighted that last set there, went into the hide contour feature, and I erased, the 3rd apple was over here. If I put show, you'll see that it will come back. And the next, let's see, previous, show. So the pieces start to come back. So I'm going to go ahead and hide those pieces again. So I only will cut 2 of those out. So one of the really fun things that happened with that is now I could create a border just the size that I needed by using that hide contour feature also. And one of the things I liked about this is it reminded me of the Martha Stewart punches. So now I've got 5 little apples, and I have scooched them down on the edge of that rectangle or that square, and I have grouped them together, and then I have welded them together. So when I push the little I button, you'll see now that they're all welded together in one shape. Anyway, so that was, and then I'll cut the layers out, etc. So anyway, this first page is basically the layout how I want the layout to be, what I want my page to look like. So then I went into the second, I created a second layer, and on this second layer I now am taking the first day of school cut, and I'm making all of the layer pieces for that piece that I want to cut out. So the first cut is the actual piece itself, which is first day of school. The second cut is the shadow feature, and then the third is the layers. I've got the apple and the day, and then I only wanted I wanted to cut the apple out of red, but I wanted the word day to be out of yellow. So again, I used the hide contour feature, and if I highlight that, you'll see that I basically took out the apple so that the only thing that cut was the word day. So that one I cut in yellow, and then I did the same thing with this one. I took everything out except for the green top there for the apple. Oops. All right. Okay, so then I cut those out and I layered those together. So now we'll go to the layer, layer 3 or mat 3, and this is where I have cut out the school. Now I'm going to tell you, this school building was pretty difficult. It only has one layer feature, and it was a bit cumbersome using the hide contour key. It did work, but it took me a while to get this one done. So the first cut is the actual cut of the school. And then I did the same thing as I did in the previous, on the apple. For instance, on this particular one, I only wanted the flag to cut, and I only wanted it cut in red. So I hid all of the other pieces in that cut except for the flag. So now when that cuts, only the flag will cut. Then I copied that, and now I wanted only the school building to cut. So I hid everything else except for the school building. So I did that on all the pieces to put together this schoolhouse. So there were quite a few, as you can see here, where I went through and I had to hide a lot of the pieces. So after it was done, it turned out really cute, but it was a lot of work, I won't kid you. This is pretty intense piecing. So then the fourth layer is where I have the lunchbox. So lunchbox was really simple. It was just the basic cut, the layer, and the shadow. Okay, so I'm going to go cut these out, and I'll be back in just a sec, and we'll put the layout together.